Hi, Eric Gibaud, ericgibaud.com, and today I receive you in this big house, or I don't know how you call that, with the side part of this is really enormous, massive, and surely at one stage this house was the envy of many people. People were probably jealous to see this house, okay? But sometimes we cannot foresee the future. Normally it's hard to foresee the future. We don't know if things, because of you or because of third parties, will change the future and will create problems. In this case, many years ago, an airport was built a bit further higher there, okay? And the sound of the planes probably made this house less interesting. I don't know if the family had financial problem or inheritance problem or whatever. The result is here. This is a big ruin. So this is what I want to speak about. Sometimes you cannot foresee the future, but sometimes with your strategy you can avoid problems or get better gains or better profits. And I want to speak about Fujifilm. I think that Fujifilm is right now making some strategy errors, mistakes, that could cost them a lot. So today let's speak about this. Let's start. First of all, I want to clarify that this video is not against Fujifilm. I remind that I made a video telling that I think that the real danger for Canon and Nikon is actually Fujifilm. I still think the same thing, but I think that Fujifilm has changed their strategy, and now they're at risk of losing market, losing clients, and having a future that is not the brightest or could have even serious problems. So if you're a fanboy of Fuji, don't get offended, watch the video, give me your opinion. I'm not against you. By the way, I used Olympus for many years, but I always said that if I did not use Olympus, I would use Fujifilm, so I've got nothing against Fujifilm. Now you understand what I speak about the sound of planes. It's a plane coming by, and this is probably why people abandon that house. So I got nothing against Fujifilm. Honestly, I tell this, this is only my opinion, maybe other people think that this way, but because I want Fujifilm to work, I want Fujifilm to have a bright future, because I think it's good for everyone to have competition. So Canon, Nikon, Olympus, Sony, Pentax, everyone, okay? It's good that there is competition. I think Fujifilm products are good, okay? I'm going to tell you a bit more about it. If you think about it, if you open Fujifilm website, you see they organize their cameras in different range. You have a medium format, then you have the X format. In the X format, you have XT, XA, XE, XS, XH. Then you have premium compact cameras. Then you have basic compact cameras. They've taken out the bridges they had, but still. We speak about, in catalog right now, 23 cameras. Some are not new, but they're still for sale, and they'll probably still make them. 23 cameras right now in their catalog. But if you actually investigate the way they organize the camera, they actually have 8 range of cameras. So this is too many. I think it should be a lot less. I think with 10 cameras that would be fine. Maybe 12, I don't know. And 4 kind of ranges. Although I made a video speaking that there is professional cameras do not exist. I'll make a link here. What is professional is probably the person who is actually using the camera, but it's not the camera itself. Although you need to organize your cameras. If you don't call it professional, call it advanced. But if you want to call it professional, enthusiast amateur, mid-range amateur, basic amateur or beginner, but you must organize that in the way that people clearly understand what is the camera doing, who is the camera for. This is really important. And right now, if you look at Fujifilm, this is not clear at all. Most people don't understand. Actually, if you go to a shop and say, I would like to have a camera, would like to buy a camera, what have you thought about? Well, I want a Fujifilm because I think they're nice, I've heard about it, people speak good about Fujifilm, I would like a Fujifilm. What else? Well, actually, I want a screen that goes on the side because I want to do videos, I like it on the side. Okay, what else? Well, sometimes we'll make pictures in the jungle or in a place really humid or a place with a lot of dust, so it's important that the camera is sealed. Okay, what else? Well, actually we're thinking about doing some video, so also stabilization on IBIS would be great. Okay, and what else do you want? Well, whatever. The reality is that this camera does not exist. You may have this screen this way you want, but then you don't have the IBIS. You want the IBIS and you have this screen, yes it exists, but then it's not sealed. Or it's sealed, but then you don't have the screen you want. It's crazy, it's crazy. You need several cameras to actually get the camera you want. Because Fujifilm is not clear on the way they develop things. They get new models, updated models, but then they get things out or get things different. So clients were used, for example, the XE3, they were expecting the XE4. I made a review 2 days ago, and then there's no grip anymore. Or they removed some buttons. You don't have the button anymore when you can put single autofocus, continuous autofocus, or manual mode. This removed. You don't have a button where you actually start recording. You can actually configure, but it's not the same way. So when you think of it, it's all crazy. Even the way Fujifilm convinced us many years ago that the analog style was good, having a speed wheel on top of the camera where you select the speed and then the aperture you select on the lens, and then you put A on both, automatic, A on one and the other one not, then semi-automatic, all this. People liked it. And then they get the XS10 out, and then they go to the typical PSA-M wheel. So people were expecting this. It's not there anymore. So you look at the XT200, people had the XT100 and they were expecting the XT200. When they get it out, then the screen is different, then it's more thought for video, but it's not stabilized. So this is crazy. This is not, people don't know what to buy. They don't understand anything anymore. Even if you look at the medium format cameras they have, there are 4 right now on the catalog. Okay. Obviously, I understand some that won't sell anymore. It will be removed. Okay, but you look at the GFX 100S. Brilliant camera, great size, the size of a full frame reflex. So this is brilliant for medium format. So who is the competition? The competition is Hasselblad, the X1D or X2D. Okay, so people may think, okay, the Hasselblad is great, but it's not stabilized, and this one is. Okay, great. Lenses for Hasselblad are really expensive because they have a leaf shutter in the lens, so they're really expensive. So Fujifilm decided to do focal plane shutter, which is in the body. But why people would like leaf shutter? Because the flash synchronizes at up to 1/1600th of a second on this Hasselblad. So when you go to the Fujifilm, you cannot get just 1/125th of a second. This is too little. People want to have at least 250th of a second synchro flash. They don't want to do high synchro. Sometimes want to do HSS, but not everyone. So you need to have at least 1/250th of a second on that camera. So it's not there. This is not logical. Many people want this camera to do landscape. You cannot have the widest angle lens so narrow. It's not that narrow, it's still too narrow. They need a wider lens. They built the 80mm 1.7, and most people don't want that. I mean, it's great as to say this is the fastest lens in medium format. That's great to say that, to get a middle and flowers, all this. But the reality is that if you make a picture at 1 meter with this lens of my face, I'm just like this. This eye will be in focus and this eye is out of focus, so I will have to close my lens anyway. So I probably would be on f2.8 or f4. So don't sell me that lens. What you sell me is a really widest angle lens. This is important. So even that, then not everyone needs 100 megapixel sensor. So obviously you need to change your GFX 50S. Make it exactly the same body and features, bettering obviously the synchro flash, and the same as the 100S with a 50 megapixel sensor. So even if it's not half price, obviously, but a bit cheaper, some people will prefer that because for them the resolution is not the most important thing. They need a wider sensor to get the pixel breathing in there, okay? So really, even this, they should better it. Then if you go to the X models, this is a nightmare because what I said before, one do this, one the other do what, and this and that and this, and you get lost. And if you look at professional, many professional think that they've been betrayed by Fujifilm. Some professionals were using Canon and Nikon and they wanted to go to mirrorless. So at that time they had two options, in APS-C or full frame, but in APS-C that Sony or that Fujifilm. So they decided to bet on the XH1. They liked it, stabilized, dual memory card. It was great. But then they expected the XH2. This way they could actually get the same feeling in the hand, something really similar, and get new features that technology allows you to have. But the XH2 doesn't exist. It didn't come out, and no one knows about it. And the reality is they're trying to sell you an XT4, but not everyone wants an XT4 because they wanted that. They like that. And we speak about professionals who actually bet on Fujifilm, and you let them down. So this is not acceptable. You're creating people who are disappointed, people who become enemy of Fujifilm, and this is also a big problem. And you see that the big problem in the X line of cameras is they overlap each other. Sometimes you have a feature of lower range camera that you don't find in the higher range, and sometimes a feature that is in the higher range is not in the lower range when it would be easy to put in there. So this is a problem. So this way it means that people are really lost, and I think Fujifilm need to get things straight. First, if we speak about flashes again, many of their models are synchronizing at 1/80th of a second, and this is too little. You should have 250th of a second. Then we speak about chargers. This is ridiculous. You want to charge your camera, before Fujifilm had a proper charger, you remove the battery and place it in there. Then they took this out, and now you have and then you had a plug-in charger, and you actually plug in the USB port, and now you don't even have this. It just gives you a cable, a USB cable. And they said, no, this is to help the environment and green thing, all this. This is blah 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 blah, because people anyway will need a charger. If I want to charge my battery while I make picture with my second battery, obviously I will need to buy this proper charger to remove the battery and place it in there. So this is blah blah blah, okay? And then maybe my charger, even if I want to plug into my camera, plug the USB in the camera, maybe it's busy with my telephone, so I need an extra charger anyway. So this is stupid. This is really greedy not to put this in the camera. And there are many things like this that are really surprising, and the way they want to do that. And also they must better the lower range they have, because if they compete with reflex cameras, well, Canon and Nikon basically, because there are not much left in reflex entry level, their Fujifilm entry level must give more. Because let's say there is even no flash, and the XE4 for example, you don't have a flash, and on the XE1 you had an external flash you could place on it, same as those Olympus. There's no integrated flash, but you can actually, on the OMD5 Mark II for example, you have an extra flash you can actually plug on there. So before Fujifilm was doing it, and not anymore. So if I want to buy a basic Canon, a basic Nikon reflex, if I'm going to spend an extra 100, 200, 300 euros or dollars on a Fujifilm, I want to have the whole shot, because otherwise these clients do not understand why this cheaper camera has a flash and that one hasn't. Even if these flash are not very good, people still want them. You must give that to them. Then they start to put IBIS in some cameras, the X-T4 and the XS10. From that second, every new model should have IBIS. They've put it on the medium format, okay? But every new model, the XE4, should have IBIS. They should all have IBIS. Why? Because they need to fight against the king of stabilization, who is Olympus, for example. And they must convince people to go to Fujifilm, offering a lot of things. So the IBIS should be, from now on every single Fujifilm body. This is really important. Then, if they want to convince people to do video, they should remove the time limit. Most Fujifilm camera are limited to 15 or 30 continuous recording time, minutes in recording time. That must be fixed. Before, the 30-minute time was due to tax, but not anymore. So if it's because of technology, they must better that. Because there are people who are like wedding photographers, they go on their own and they want to leave a camera recording itself, and they cannot forget to press the button again at 15 minutes, because otherwise they don't have anything recorded. So it's important to remove this time limit in some ways. They must better that, give more possibility to have logs for post-processing. In some model they do have, but to give more. And when you look at the film simulation, analog film simulation that many people like on Fujifilm, but some cameras have 11 simulation and others have 18 simulation, 16, 12, depends. New model have more. So logically, people, when they have a Fujifilm camera, what they want is to have this upgraded by firmware, not to buy a new camera. If I really use this kind of film simulation, forcing me to buy a new camera to get them will make me angry, because it does not justify the price difference. So it should be upgradable with firmware. I know they can do that, they must do it. People will change cameras anyway at a later date because they're happy with you. And because people like to change cameras, even if the camera is still working, is still okay, they want to buy a new camera anyway, or they will recommend Fujifilm cameras. So this film simulation must be upgraded using firmware. And then it's important that Fujifilm must understand that they convinced the world that APS-C is enough for most people. Actually, I've got a video telling that full frame is probably not needed for you, okay? So they show they convince and demonstrate, and many Fujifilm user will tell you they had a full frame camera before, and they're really happy what they get with the APS-C with Fujifilm is enough. It's okay. In some situation maybe full frame is better, but most of the time they don't see the difference. So as these people are convinced, you must keep the RAW and keep them happy and getting new things like artificial intelligence. I think right now the king of artificial intelligence is Olympus, with things like well, they have the high resolution. They were among the first to have it. Hasselblad had it before, I think, but then Olympus had it, make high resolution. Now Fujifilm has it on medium format, or Sony has it on the 7.4R, and things like this. But Fujifilm must have this also on their cameras. They should have things like animal eye detect, things like this. They must have a live composite, like something similar to live composite for long exposure that Olympus has. I'm an Olympus user, so I should not say that, but Olympus does not pay me. I'm not an ambassador anyway, so it doesn't matter. I say what I think Fuji should do to convince people, okay, to be really on top, because the idea is not to be equal to the other. The idea is to be better than the others, because right now Canon and Nikon are really delayed on APS-C format. On mirrorless, Canon has the M line, which is so okay, but not really pro, and then pro user, okay, and then Nikon has the FZ50, which is just one model, but they will come out with something. Probably Canon will get on arm mount APS-C cameras, and all these Canon users will stick to Canon, or maybe go to Sony, but maybe they will not step into Fujifilm. So you must give them something much better to justify going to Fujifilm. Also, during many years, it was really hard to find alternative brand for lenses for Fujifilm, but now there are several. So other people are betting on Fujifilm. You must give the best product. It's really important. And right now, Fujifilm had convinced people that their way of organizing themselves with the wheels and all this, the buttons, all this was okay. Some people were not maybe convinced of how to use a Fujifilm, but now they use it and they're happy with it. So you cannot change the way it works, because these people, you got them trained to use your camera. If you change now, they will not understand why you're changing. You convince them on one thing and now you change it. This is nonsense. And I don't even speak about the X-Trans and CMOS sensors. Some people don't like X-Trans, some people like it. Doesn't matter. I'm not getting in there because some people do. It's what you have, and I don't ask Fujifilm to change the sensor. But at least stick to one style. If you have one style of buttons, keep this style. One style of menu, keep this style. You've trained your people to use your camera, and people who use Fujifilm are really faithful people. Very often they like the way it works. So if you change it, maybe you gain new users from other brands, but you lose many of your own users. So I think this is a big mistake. And then you see that Fujifilm is investing fortune in developing new cameras, getting many new cameras out, but they're not taking care of their market. There are continents like South America or Africa or many Asian countries where you cannot find Fujifilm cameras. And this is a mistake, because there the kings are Canon, Nikon and Sony, and very often just Canon and Nikon. So what's going to happen there? That when Nikon and Canon and Sony, well, Sony already has a mirrorless APS-C, serious APS-C, but when Canon and Nikon get out some payable mirrorless full frame or really payable APS-C mirrorless cameras, then these people there, they will keep with their brand. They will not go to Fujifilm. So you must be selling there now. Like in South America, you have Mercosur. It's like a bit like the European Union, or the agreement between Mexico and Canada and the United States for the goods to transit. So they should have a solid Fujifilm base in South America and also in Africa, and then be able to sell and give technical service afterwards if there's any problem. Because right now someone is in Argentina or in Peru or many countries, or Bolivia, if they buy a Fujifilm and have a problem, they have to send it abroad to fix it, and they have to pay tax, all this, and this is a problem. So Fujifilm must develop that. So I think the big problem of Fujifilm is they're trying to get too much, and they must reduce the amount of cameras they have. They must be more strict to their style. Don't imitate, innovate. This sentence is not me, I can't remember which brand says that, but that's right. They innovated really well, but right now they're starting to try to get everyone. So like marketing people probably at Fuji say, oh, there's a guy who likes the small wheel with PSAM, why don't we get a camera this way? Oh, there's a guy who said IBIS is great, oh, we'll get one with IBIS, and then the screen, no, this is a big mess. So Fujifilm, you must concentrate, work better on your future, because otherwise from one day to another you will disappear. Maybe not disappear completely, but you were ahead in APS-C market. You convinced many people to go with Fujifilm. Now you're just getting them lost. So it's really important that you concentrate on the product you're offering. Decide if you're going to use screen in one way or another one. You cannot mix it. Maybe you need to get for each some models two options: a screen on the side, screen flip one. Maybe this is a possibility, but still you are the person who has to decide, and many of your clients are faithful to you, but they cannot be disappointed when you get out a new product because you forgot to put something in there. So, or you change something they really liked and they don't like it anymore, because otherwise one day you will lose all your market and you will lose many of your customers. And I think right now Fujifilm is his biggest enemy, getting out too many products and not being really coherent with it. So I probably forget some things obviously, and many things to say about it, but honestly I think this is my idea. I think you don't have to share my opinion, but I would like to know your opinion. So if you can, please write it down underneath. Thank you for watching the video. If you feel it may interest other people, please share it on social networks. If you have not done yet, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, the small button down here, and also a small bell. Click on the bell, get notified when I upload a new video. My website, gibaud.com. If you have any question, can leave a comment below. Also leave you links of my gear on Amazon, links to other part of my YouTube channel, and also links to my PayPal account in case you wanted to make a donation. Thank you very much. See you soon. Bye.